everybody, and welcome to Brooks Hobby Shop. Please excuse the rough start to this video because I reshot this intro to trim some time. Anyway, this is a video where I decided I was going to do one more thing to this 5th generation 1994 Honda Civic, and that is repair these non-functional side rear view mirrors. These are the type that have the lever that adjusts them from the inside, and I've already repaired this one, but I'm going to take y'all along for the ride as I attempt to do the same repair on the, well, I've already done the repair on the passenger side mirror as well, and I've already come back to this one for a new thing I discovered while doing the video for the one on the passenger side. But anyway, I thought this might help some people out there. So let's go ahead and get into it. Here we have the passenger side mirror, and you'll see that it's loose. It just very loose. The wind actually, when you're going along down the interstate, it'll actually fold it back some. It has absolutely no tension on it to hold adjustment, and the lever on the inside is like the one on the driver's side, totally ineffectual, useless, just up, down, up, down, up, down. Any way you work this sucker right here, it is nothing. Actually, depending on how far you want to go and how determined you are, restoring one of these to full total function again, of course, probably is possible. I can already hear people out there saying, hey man, you didn't have to take all of that off of that door. But I took all of this off with the mirror because I wanted to have this section in here too, just to have a reference for trying to get the lever to re-engage with the mechanism for the mirror. If all you were going to do was replace the mirror, or just, you know, if you want to make repeated trips back and forth from inside to outside and try to fabricate all this on your own, you know, just back and forth, the mirror itself is the only part that you really have to get off the car. And that's these 3 number 2 Phillips screws right here. And right here, we've got the culprit. One culprit anyway. That right there. This little nub right here. If you can see, it comes out to a point. This point right here engages inside right here. When it's all together, it engages right there, and it is broke off from the mirror assembly lever right here. That's where this little arrow-headed or conical extension broke off right there. But that was the second thing that happened. The first thing that happened was all of this came apart on the inside, and we're about to get into it and explore all of that. You need to note that right here, this lever is the actuating lever for everything that the mirror does. This lever moves back, it moves forward, and you'll notice as I work the mirror back and forth, angling out and angling in, that lever moves. Let's see if I can do it by hand. Maybe a little bit. Not a lot, not a lot. It doesn't go easy. But also, this lever right here is supposed to move in and out, in and out. And that's your elevation adjustment. The problem you've got is when I shake this, you hear those parts rattling around in there. It broke, and this lever is actually jammed almost flush against this plate, and it's not supposed to be. It's supposed to be able to move in and out and be able to hold that position, but I cannot even move this one fully out. And we're about to see why that is. Basically, it's because a cluster, you know what occurred up inside of here. Anyway, we've got to start by getting this front bezel off that comes all the way around, and you'll notice it's got a seam right here. And there's going to be some screws holding this on to the back side, or if you will, the front side from the inside. So you're going to have to pivot your mirror to get at those, and you can kind of, all right, there's one of them right there. You're going to have to just kind of angle the mirror and go around and take out these, in this case, number 2 Phillips head screws. We got 2 right here on the top on this one, and then down here on the bottom. Like I say, you're going to have to kind of hunt for them. You can see our third one kind of tucked right, come on, get the light right down in there. So I'm going to pop these out, and then I'm going to pop this front bezel off. You should have enough room to get in past the mirror to do this, but it's working in kind of tight, dark quarters. And they're going to be really, really tight. They're the type of screw that they cut the threads as they were screwed in at the factory. I'm going to take that one. All right, that one's out. And it just fell down in there. And now I'm going to try to push this thing and get this one right here started and get it out. I'm not worried about them falling down in there. I'm just trying to get that front bezel off. All right, where's that other one? There you are, right here. Expect them to put up a little bit of a fight, y'all. And I think now on this one, that is all of them. Okay, so now I'm going to have to just start prying this front bezel off wherever I can find a good inconspicuous spot to do it. Okay, we're gonna try about right here. Okay, it's opening up a little bit. Might try underneath. Okay, there we go. There we go. Yeah, I got some separation occurring now. Got some scarring there, but 21-year-old car, and it's kind of unavoidable when you're trying to work on something that was just meant to be replaced as an entire unit. But all right, there we are. That's loose. Now I need to, you're just going to have to try to work it out past the mirror, and we'll see if there was a fourth one that I've missed. And there wasn't. Here, here, and here. Okay. Now we're getting into the mechanism. And one of these screws, I'm going to go ahead and tell you I'll have to go off camera for, because one of these is going to be very inaccessible. You can see we got another one right here. And that is the one that's going to be inaccessible. We got one more up in there. All right, I'll tell you what. Now I'm remembering how I did the first one. There's our wasp nest. There it is. Okay. All right, actually, your next step is going to be look inside, and right here, you're going to see a ring, and you're just going to have to do your best to try to get in there and pop the actual mirror off of the mechanism. Just going to have to try to get in there and get behind all of this and just twist and pry and try not to inflict any major damage while you're prying the mirror itself off of the pivot point in here. There we are. There we are. It just separated right there. And then comes an easy part on this one. It's going to still be held by one of the adjusting rods, well, all of the adjusting rods connecting to it down in here, but I can't really show them to you very well at the moment. Yeah, I can. We got a connecting point right here and right here, and then we've got another one down in here, but the shaft on this one right here furthest in is going to slide on through and come out with the mirror itself. So the next thing you want to do is get in there and pop it loose very carefully, because it's a plastic mechanism, y'all. Just try to pop it loose right here. And it should snap. And this plastic is actually pretty tough, so you can use some force, but just be careful. Don't. All right, it popped loose right there. It's that little knob right there popped out right here where it snaps in. And then we're going to do the same thing on this other side. Right. Ooh. Right there. It's going to put up a fight, y'all. They were not meant to be worked on. There we are. There we are. Here are the two that I just popped loose, and they snapped in right here and right here. And then this other rod that right here that just pulled out with it, it will go back in right here. And then we're ready to get these other two screws out and get the whole mechanism out of this housing. I had never ever worked on one of these before. I guess the irony is that the electric mirrors, which you would normally think of as the more complex, I have seen worked on a couple of those. They got usually two motors in them, one adjusting the elevation and the other one adjusting the angle. But they're actually more durable than the manual mechanisms. And in mechanical work, that's actually kind of a rare phenomenon. But now after taking these three screws out here, we're ready to just pull the whole mechanism out. And you'll see that it's got a tongue and groove fitting right here. And there we are. There we are, the whole entire mechanism. And right here is where our first problem developed. Let's see, where did it go? Okay. Let me keep up with these screws right quick. It's supposed to be 3 of these that were holding that front bezel on. Alright, so I've got all of them together. And now we've got it all apart. This C-clip right here, this is the original culprit. This is what killed all of your mirror function. This C-clip popped out from on top of this plate right here, on top of this very heavy spring right here, and then this spring pushed this plate up and pulled this lever all the way up tight right here against the bottom adjustment or the bottom mounting plate. And right here you can see that's how we adjust the angle right there, and then we've got this other one right here which is basically a tensioner. But what we've got to do is get this C-clip reinstalled up here. But the problem is the spring, all of that extreme tension has broken the fitting that the C-clip was in and just pushed it clean up through the kind of a pot metal type fitting and all that it's got in here. So right here and here is our challenge. It could all go easily enough, but y'all, this spring right here is a monster. I tried on the driver's side mirror to make one jig after another to try to compress this down and slip the, get it to hold down and slip the C-clip back into the track for it, which you can barely see right down in here. The spring's done pushed up past it, but right right there is the track for that C-clip. If you can see it right there about center screen, that is the track for that C-clip. And that spring and this plate has got to be down below that track and that C-clip mounted into that track, and up above that where it's held down, that spring finally just pushed it all up through. And we've got another monster hit in this spring right here. And you'll notice it's held on by a number 2 Phillips head. And unfortunately, this spring is gripping this central shaft, which is the shaft of this bottom lever. This spring right here is gripping it on each side. You'll notice it's got a flatted side right here and over on this other side. It's gripping it right there and right here, and right there. And it's not doing it the easy way, unfortunately. It's crossing. It's crossing. You've got to twist it and get the right side over onto the left and the left side over onto the right while you're putting this thing back together. You could try just cutting the spring and relieving the tension on it. And on the driver's side, I did actually try that, but there was no way to get it to hold. Here's the 2 pieces I cut out of the spring of the driver's side assembly. And the problem is, of course, it's got to be basically flat up top in order to hold this plate down flat, level, not be pushing it up at an angle, but just cutting the spring and having it at an angle down here kept pushing that C-clip back up and through. So what I ended up doing was having to take this whole thing, including this aggravating cluster right here, all apart and flip this bottom spring after I cut some off of it to get it where I could reassemble it without it having enough tension to push that C-clip up through again, but still enough tension to hold the mirror firm. This is kind of hard to explain. But anyway, I had to have the cut end of the spring down here in the base, because the base has a recess that basically would hold what is right now the bottom side of the spring up level, up underneath this plate right here, underneath that C-clip. So the next thing you've got to do is just basically pull this sucker apart. And there's a small C-clip up here at the very top you've got to pop out. And then there is another one tucked here behind this aggravating sucker right here that you've got to pop out. And then just pull the shaft out. Push and pull it out from the bottom while pushing down from the top. This sucker right here is going to give you heck. Let's just leave it like that, especially on reassembly. But then basically I just cut the spring and finally got it all put back together. I'll show as much of that as I can, but I don't know how much that'll be. But right now I'm going to go ahead and just pop this C-clip out right here and this one up top out right here. Go ahead and take this number 2 Phillips head out along with the washer, and that'll allow this spring to come springing up out of there, and it ricocheted around the shop. But anyway, that's what we've got to do. That's what we've got to do, y'all. The shaft that came out right here on the mirror Fortunately, this booger right here does not require any kind of special fitting or anything. Once I was putting the mirror back onto the assembly after I got everything else done, it went in. It just pushed in right through here, and then you'll see it's got finally one spring we don't have to bother about taking loose right here in the back, and it just slides right back through between the fingers of this spring right here. And this is the tensioner spring on that. So let me get these C-clips out and get this thing apart. Actually, I'm going to try another method on this one that might make reassembly go easier. I'm going to push down from the top to get this lever pushed out. And I'm going to see if I can just wedge that like that. Okay. And then I've got to try to walk all of this past this aggravating sucker right here. And it gave a little bit. No, yeah, gave enough for that to pop out of there, so okay. Okay, come on. Oh my gosh, the jobs I get into here. All right, y'all see that? Y'all see that? Okay, now I'm going to try to see if it'll slip some down here. Okay. Try to walk this aggravating sucker here up a little bit more. If I can. Come on, honey. Right there. And I don't want to break that. Okay, now can I walk it down further? Come on! Come on, all right, you see we're clearing right here at the very top now. By the way, this right here is a nylon bushing. The shaft will come. This is not structural. This is just a nylon bushing to give it easier lever motion when it all works. Okay, well, got that now where it can actually pivot. Will it let me twist it just on out? Believe it might. This might be easier reassembly than what I had on the driver's side, if this idea works. By the way, we got 2 more screws back here. I'm going to try leaving them in this time anyway. Might not be able to. All right, there we are. There we are. All right, there we go. Now when that shaft, when I reinstall that, remember, it's got to come up through past this one, and then I'm going to have to bend this other side to grip it over here on the other side as it comes up through right here. And y'all, that only took way more time than I like for anything to take. But here we go. All right, there's the shaft right there. And of course you want to clean and lubricate all this while you got it apart. I looked and looked. I reckon that's a molding. I don't know. I never found where anything actually stuck in that. But here's the track for the lower C-clip right here. Here is the track for the upper C-clip right here. And if you look right here on the very end of this lever, right there at my chipped thumbnail, that is where that right here, this sucker right here broke off. Okay, and now I can take that off. There is the spring, and if you look right here, and over on the other side right here, you will see that that is where this monster right here pushed so hard that it just forced this C-clip finally right on up and through. Right there, there's a really good shot of it right there. That's supposed to be flat, y'all. And over here on the other side, we have it again. Of course, you're going to have to grind all that down smooth. But the ultimate solution is, at least the one I'm going for on this old car, is to take enough tension off of this spring to where it will still have enough for everything to work properly. Everything can still work properly, but it will not have enough tension to damage the C-clip fitting again. And then, actually I can go ahead and pull this on out. Oh yeah, we've got some ball bearings right here from where these mirrors are designed to fold back. They went right here, and right here, and right here, and you'll see the third one still in there. But the ultimate aim is to decrease the tension on this spring just enough to affect this semi-repair. And then after grinding these nubs right here off where the C-clip pushed up through, just simply, insert it back at another angle where all of this is not broke out. That's what I did on the driver's side. Actually, since these mirrors are originally designed to fold back, that's partially what happened too. Being folded back and everything, and all this just being plastic. That little conical end that broke off right here, that's supposed to automatically just find its way and re-engage right here for the inside adjustment lever. All this stuff getting old and brittle, and the mirror being folded back and forth again and again. That's part of what broke that as well. And it's also part of what wore that C-clip to begin with. But I think I've got an out for that. It took me a while to find it on the driver's side, but I think I've actually got an out for that. But anyway, I'm going to fix it so you really don't want to have these mirrors being folded back and everything again after you've done all of this to them. But the one on the driver's side still will, but you noticed I had limited lever range on the control arm as far as how far I could adjust it. But like I said, this was never going to be a full repair, But that depends on how far you want to go. If you want to try to rig all this and get it working perfect again, have at it. I'm just doing this video to kind of give y'all a guide as to where the problems are and how the initial breakdown occurred. Shoot. But anyway, that's got our length approximately right. Why did I end up cutting this off instead of going further in and then trying to shape what was already basically a perfectly shaped screw head? Well, this screw went in this far and then it refused to go any further, and then also it refused to back out. And I got on it with these and tried to get it to back out so that I could prep it and get it in further, but it absolutely would not budge. Acted more like it was going to break off in there rather than back out. So I ended up cutting it off, and that's the way it went with the driver's side. But anyway, maybe this will work pretty well. I just need a nub on this shaft. Once it's all back together, that will engage with the actuating lever that runs to the inside of the car. Why is my camera refusing to focus? Come on. Focus. But anyway, yeah, there we go, finally. But that's what happened on the driver's side too. I was going to grind down and try to fit that rounded screw head into the actuator down in here. But both times, despite my best effort, I ended up having to cut the screw off. So anyway, what I'm going for is to have, by the time this is all back together, have it where this will slip inside there, like that conical tip that was broke off from this shaft originally did. Best laid plans, and well, second time around it didn't work. Anyway, we'll see how well it turns out. Okay, let's start back together, shall we? I want the flatted side of this up. I don't want the cut end up. I want the cut side of this spring to go down in this hole right here. And then we've actually got a little keyway right here for this key right here to go into. So this is actually directional. You have to install it facing this direction. And right here is the pivot point for the mirror. So this is actually the side you'll be looking at once it's all back together. And then, if it will let me do this on camera, and it probably won't, I've got to try to compress this enough to where will it let me actually on camera install this C-clip. Of course, it's not going to make it easy. A quick note about this doohickey right here also, that you'll notice it's spring loaded back here. It needs to be, if you're going to have full function, to ride on top of this washer. That's the reason this washer right here is fitted. And this sucker right here is spring loaded by that spring right there. And I'm actually going to disable it on this one. I'm going to take this spring out because it doesn't do a thing in the world other than clamp down on this rod right here when the mirror is installed. When you have the mirror installed, this rod right here goes through this hole right here, and it's already got a tensioner spring back here on the back that it pushes through so that it'll hold adjustment. It took me a while to figure out what this sucker right here actually did, but it rides over this little hump here on this washer, and the rest of the time it rides on top of this little plateau here on this washer. And what it does is it actually locks your mirror adjustment when you would fold the mirrors back on your car. When you fold them back and pivot them, this hump right here will turn and allow the feeler you see right there on this lever to drop down onto this lower surface, and that would allow it to clamp tight up here against this rod here on the back of the mirror. And that is just so it will hold adjustment and you won't have to readjust the mirror after you fold it back into regular viewing position. But the way I am, I'm going to pop this spring out, and I'm just going to disable this because I have decided definitely I'm going to disable all of this down here, and these mirrors will never fold back again. It's more important to me to have them adjustable from inside the car through the lever the way they're supposed to be. And this sucker right here has nothing to do with that, but you don't have to take it totally out. All I'm going to do is just pull it forward and let it drop down below that washer. Well, first let me actually see if I can demonstrate to y'all how it actually normally works. I'll simulate pivoting the mirror. Okay, as I work the pivot, you'll see that it travels right here, and you're just looking for it to clamp in on that hole right there where that shaft goes through. So you go to fold your mirrors back, and there you go, right there. It drops down, and that clamps on that shaft right there. And then when you go back, you see, it's only when it's on that hump that that shaft is actually free to normally move with the adjustment. But this has nothing to do with it actually holding adjustments. So it took me a while to figure that out, just exactly what that sucker is there for, but that's what it does. And I don't see any need for a 94 Honda Civic to have fold back mirrors. I can tell you, I've never folded them back. The only time they've ever been folded back is when other people just standing around the car have done it. You know, usually against my wishes, which led to, you know, this cluster rift that we have now over time. But I'm going to disable all of this. I did put the ball bearings back in, just mainly to demonstrate this. But this is going to be glued. I'm just going to get some crazy glue, and if you've ever tried crazy glue in a mechanical mechanism, you know it'll actually go in there and it'll work very well. And they'll have them locked in the regular viewing position, and they'll still be adjustable from the inside the way they're supposed to be, and I won't have to worry about them being folded back and maybe in the process having this ever disengage from the actuator down in here. So it's a 21-year-old car with high mileage on it, young mileage for a Honda, but this ought to get me pretty close to original mirror function, just without the fold back option. Now we come to the part that'll make your babies be born naked. Okay, I've got to bring this shaft up through, and it's got to come up. It's going to start out easily enough. The shaft needs to come up through right here. And as it does, here is the last of the easy work. This spring's got to be on, this bottom part of this spring's got to be over here on this other side of it as it comes up through there. Don't believe I'm going to be able to show all of this on camera, but I'll try. Just give me bonus points for how far I finally ever get with it, okay? Actually, is that C-clip trying to pop out of there again? No, I believe it's actually held crooked by this doohickey. Yeah, that's it. Okay, so I've got this down, and you notice they actually put a little notch right here. I'm just going to go ahead and dig this spring out of here, because this old thing's going to need all the help it can get to work smoothly, just for regular adjustment. So let's see if I can just non-invasively pop this spring out. Not on camera, apparently. There we go. There we go. I didn't make this modification to the driver's side incidentally, but now that that's out, I'll just bring it back up here where it was. Oh, and there we go. There we go. Now, okay, bringing the shaft up through, and the pointer's going to have to, ultimately, by the time it's all the way up in there, it's going to have to work like this. Okay, so let me go ahead and get this back down. And I'll put this right here. Y'all might have a better method for doing a repair on these than the one I'm showing here. But here we go, about to be into the hard part. And I do mean this is the hard part. Okay. As I bring this shaft up through, I've got to get this top part of this spring over on this side, and that's going to be next to impossible on camera, but I'm going to try it. Just keep falling every which way now. I want you to. I want you to give me hell. That's what I want. That's what I live for. Ooh. Okay, now I've got to bring the shaft up. Oh. This is where you get injured. And I've got to bring got to give it, as Terrell Fixes All would say, a Wigglesworth. I cannot believe how tough this plastic is, that it actually endures for reassembly on this. Okay, I gotta bring it on up and as far as I can. But you see, we got a step right here that I don't know if y'all can see it. I've got to bring this down onto the larger part of the shaft now without popping this part loose. So I can't brace on that at all. Oh! Like I said, make your babies be born buck naked. Oh boy. Come on. See, you're short. You're short a hand. You need 3 hands to do this, and you only have 2. Hold everything in place. Ooh. Again, I wonder actually, have I explained it well enough? Because if I have, I would love to go off camera and just get this done and bring you back and show you the result. And that's actually what I'm going to do here. Whew, there it is. Finally. And you notice it's actually it's actually bending that plastic shaft out of line. Look at that. That is how much tension is on this spring right here, y'all. It is actually bending the shaft out of line for further reassembly. But I got this side on this side and this side on this side. Finally. And if you get through an operation like that with no more than this, and that happening to you, welcome to Brooks Hobby Shop. Okay, so now I've got to just keep on twisting this and let it come right on up through. I hope the camera's getting some of this because, oh, look, now it doesn't want to fit down here. Oh, that's beautiful. I'm gonna have to, yeah, it is actually holding it off down here on the bottom now. It's holding it out of line for the shaft to come up through this assembly right here from the bottom. I think. Let's see. Come on. All my slips getting. I'm losing room to slip it somewhere. Let's try back here in the back. Is it up here at the top where I'm losing it? Or am I losing it both places at once? Okay. I've got it started up through right here. Okay, now will it continue right there? Just got to hold it and twist, 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 twist. Oh, look, now it's out of line up here where the narrow part's supposed to come through up here. I tell you, the shit I get into. And yet I love the challenge. I love the challenge, and I actually encourage people to take challenges like this because the mirror itself, you can say, okay, that's actually, it's starting to fit now. I think it's actually going to work. Anyway, I love challenges like this. Well, I don't love them, but I encourage people to get into challenges like this, you know, because you might look at the car and just say, man, that's just an old rearview mirror, and what in the world is that ever going to be worth? And you're right, but it's good experience, good practice for maybe, you know, maybe you get into something else you do care about more later on. I think that is actually just about got it. Okay, yeah, I can put that small C-clip back up here in the top. What about right here, the larger one? I tell you, this is some kind of tough plastic. Watch it break now, cause I said that. But absolutely anything, no matter what it is, you're going to get valuable mechanical experience that'll come in handy on old radios and televisions and any old automobile, well, other parts of an automobile. Just about anything you tackle. So that's why I'll never pass up a chance to work on something like this if it's something of mine. A customer couldn't pay me enough. An actual paying customer could not pay me enough. But I give myself a break. I cut myself a special rate on this. On all this type of work. Okay, now let me see, can I get this C-clip to go ahead? Is it going to slip back in and cooperate? Believe it is. I just might have it squished a little too narrow. It was bent when I got it out, so I put it in the vise, and if you've ever done that with a C-clip and maybe, you know, applied a little too much pressure, closed them in just a little too far, but if you'll go back in, it ought to fit that much tighter, right? I don't really know why you need both of them either. So, you might want to consider leaving the lower one out, but I wouldn't advise it. For all I know, it does serve some valuable purpose, maybe even just somehow reinforcing that shaft against the incredible tension of that upper spring. See, I'm always having, you get into stuff where you don't really have the right tool to do it, and there we go. There we go. Okay, and now we get a better idea, see, of how all of this originally worked. Now we finally get a better idea of how it all actually originally worked. That spring right there is providing this action right here. And then from the control lever in the car, which never stood a chance at all of working any of this mirror assembly before, look at here. And I haven't even oiled it yet. And just how easy, just right here now with this, so see that? That's how it's supposed to be, y'all, with the exception of getting rid of the fold back mechanism, disabling it. This is how it all worked. Main mirror pivot, it's mirror snaps on right here. Snap these two in to the back of the mirror. This shaft right here, by the time it's all back together, it'll slip right through there, like that. And we should be good to go. Okay, we're going to start back together by reinstalling the mechanism in the back case. There is a particular order to this. Not the way these screws go in, but the basic reassembly order. These, of course, you got to do that too, to do it Brooks Hobby Shop style. Always got to drop screws. If you're going to work in Brooks Hobby Shop, you don't get to break anything, but you get to drop it. I'll tolerate dropping as long as there's no damage. Coincidentally, he works alone. All right, so there we are. All well and good there. Feels like it'll work just fine without any lubrication. And remember, it is supposed to have tension on it, but I'm going to put a little bit of Marvel Mystery Oil on these points that move here anyway, just because mainly I'm in the habit of it. Now, reinstalling the mirror itself, these two pivot points right here are going to snap in right here and right here. And remember, this shaft right here is going to go through this hole right here. We're going to do all of that before flipping it over onto a good flat surface to press the mirror to get the main pivot to snap back in. You've got to have a perfect flat surface to do that. But first, we're going to start by coming in right here, get that shaft right there, and then, like I said, these two right here, if you can see, they'll hinge out a little bit. We're going to line them up right there and snap them in. And all of this goes tight, y'all. It's easier said than done. And if you've got long tapering fingers like mine, that helps, believe me. Also, if you don't mind bloodying yourself a little bit, that's a definite plus too. Let me grab a tool. Oh, so hard to do anything simple on camera. YouTube has added a whole new dimension to my service work. I tell you, it's okay, got one right there. See that? Okay, now let's try for the other one. Right here. Ooh! Y'all can't see it, but I can. Oh! Got to have it lined up right. Got to have it straight. Not until it's straight. Come on, Pierce. Not until it's straight. Don't try it until it's straight. And everything wants to pivot, but ooh, come on, come on, come on. Ah, come on. You know you want to. People out there say, man, you snapped the wrong one first. You should have done this one first and the first one second. You might be right. You might be right. I need more club for this. There we are. Sure did not go easy, but there it is. But now we've got it connected right there. Got that earth shaft going through right here, as it should, right there. And now I've already put a little oil on this, and here is the good part, where I break a mirror and end up with 7 years bad luck. I'm just gonna stick that right there like that. Go down right here, press down and hope for the best. Ooh, I bet that broke it. Sure it did, didn't it? Nope. There we are. Up and down. Yeah, like Pterodactyl says, go ahead and give it a good Wigglesworth. And now we're going to have to pivot this around in order to finish reassembly with the front bezel in order to get screws in that. By the way, notice that there is a tongue and groove fitting here, y'all, so you want to pay attention to that while you're snapping all of this back. And then it's just a good old-fashioned fun game of chance to try to wring those 3 screws back in place. I don't think y'all need to be along for the ride on that, so I'll do my typical thing and just take y'all all the way anyway. Actually, I can't do it. I can't do it on camera. Reason is I've got to have the screw going up into it. So, back in a mo. Okay, there we are. Finally, I want to ensure that this lever right here, which, by the way, look. Pull it out. I want to make sure that right here engages inside of that. And then we'll be ready to stick it all back together on the car. And see what we got. See there, y'all? Easy when you know how. Just takes hours sometimes to figure it out. Like I said, these mirrors should not ever be folded back again. But I'm making sure of that. If you want yours to still be where people can play with them and fold them back, which is about all that feature's good for anyway. The owners get little use out of it, but perfect strangers use it a lot. Alright, let's try the final test right here in the shop. Okay. Look at there. Look at there. We're going to have a working mirror again. And that's all I'm after. That is all I'm after. Woohoo! Okay, y'all, it's the following day. Let's see how this works. They've been sitting all night, and I used automotive goop to get rid of the fold back function. So oh yeah, that's tight. That's not going. That'll never fold back again. All right, got a little oil streak running down the door. A little bit of a drippy drip up there where I oiled the mechanism. But all I care about is this. All right, let's see. Up, down. Look at that. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Good as new. Without the expense. Let's check the one on the driver's side, because I went ahead and took the spring out of the locking lever on it too, after deciding to do it on this one. And I went ahead and locked it in place very firmly also, so we'll check it now. I'm happy with that. Let's see if taking that spring out of that locking lever out increased the range on this one any. Maybe helped it out at all. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Look at that. I didn't even have this when I originally put it back, because it still had that locking lever working in it. Well, look at it now. That is good enough for me. And just like the one on the passenger side, I went ahead and I gooped it in. Look at there. Oh yeah, anybody wanting to use it to apply their makeup now, it's gonna have to find the car next door. I'm happy with that. Okay, y'all, that's all I've got for this one. And Now I hope I'll be able to get back with some actual television and radio work here. I just had these jobs kind of backed up on vehicles that I wanted to attend to, and they were going to interfere with my normal video posting, so I decided to go ahead and just do videos on all of this as well. But this is wonderful. It's been about 10 years since these levers have worked at all. That is beautiful to me. Anyway, I hope this helps somebody out there if you just got an old car and you want to get your mirrors back where you can use them. And would rather not, like me, for an old car spend money on aftermarket replacements, or I don't even know what actual Honda replacements would cost. I just thought that I could do this if I tore into it. And I'd never worked on one of these manual jobs before. I'd worked on the electric ones, which actually are a whole lot easier than these were. But I'm very happy with the way these have turned out. Oh, still. Oh, that's just wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Okay, y'all. Take care out there and save money where you can. Brooks Hobby Shop. We're out.